Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for Switched at Birth, Season 3, Episode 20, The Girl on the Cliff. Now, I meant to do this review for you guys last night, but I didn't get a chance to. I really wanted to, I didn't really feel like doing the review for you last night. I don't know, I just didn't feel like it. But I will review it now, and overall, I must say, this episode is by far the best episode of the season. I love the way this episode worked out. I really love the way, everything played out in this episode. I thought the episode was really, really good. Especially, I will say this was probably Katie Leclerc's on the shows, her best performance, in my opinion. Really, it was. I mean, this episode, really, she shined throughout this whole episode. She really did an amazing job in this episode. And in my opinion, this was definitely her best performance by far. I love that about this episode. I thought she just did a really great job in this episode. And, yeah, this was just such a great episode. So let's just get to it. Basically, Bay decides to tell everyone what Daphne's been going through about everything. And I was very happy that Bay did this, great way to stick up for, to tell people what's going on. I was glad that Bay told them. Daphne obviously is upset, but basically, yeah, so she tells everyone what's going on about everything, and I'm very glad that Bay did this, because, Daphne really needed some, guidance as to what she was doing was wrong. She just decided to tell everyone what was going on, and I thought that was definitely the right thing to do. However, rather than them, being, trying to, being mad at Daphne, what ends up happening is that they're actually mad at themselves, basically, Regina, but, the fact that Regina pulled a gun on Daphne, and even now she's currently in business with, former Senator, Cotto, plus Daphne might have thrown in that she admitted to doing drugs to Regina beforehand. And Regina at the time thought her daughter was only confessing to, pot. Now, and Catherine and John are like, well, pot's not that. Well, pot's not, any better than that. And, it turns out that Daphne was actually doing cocaine, and that isn't something, she would have easily disregarded. So Daphne isn't just dabbling like she claims. She didn't like cocaine when she tried it, but that didn't mean she wasn't gonna pass up. So yeah, that was definitely very interesting. And Catherine actually suggests that Daphne may be taking to see a therapist, and her husband, and John says no, that's not a good idea, because he wanted to believe that their family troubles wasn't as bad as it sounded. And the truth is, though, that Daphne is in that bad of shape. She just doesn't want to. She didn't even want to talk about college or even continuing about pre-med. They're talking about how the school year is winding down. Daphne hasn't even looked at colleges, really. She hasn't. So Daphne didn't. So yeah, I definitely thought that was definitely just really interesting about what ended up happening. So yeah, they're definitely having a lot of problems with Daphne. Daphne, luckily though, I was glad about what she decided to do. Daphne is still working at the clinic, and we haven't seen her work at the clinic for episodes. The last time I think we saw her work at the clinic was the second episode of this half of season 3. Was episode episode 13. That was the last time we saw her work at this clinic. So we didn't see her work at the clinic till then. So, basically, because of that, we saw her work at the clinic, and of course, Daphne's not in really good shape right now. Even though she realizes what she did was wrong, she didn't like cocaine. That doesn't mean she sees this man who is in very bad shape. He has this thing of oxycodone, basically, and what ends up happening with the oxycodone is that Daphne, instead of just, letting the man, try to take the oxycodone from the man or whatever, what she decides to do is not that. What she does is actually much worse than that. She decides to basically... What she decided to do. basically someone came into the clinic where Daphne was working in, and she's very and they're very desperate in need of urgent care, and she's sent off to get supplies to help him, but she contemplates for a while and then ends up stealing some oxycodone. So, you know, that's not good, obviously. So she does end up dumping the oxycodone she stole into the sink instead of taking it back to the clinic where the injured people are. And it feels like she doesn't have much motivation, you know, and I thought that was definitely very interesting when she did that. I mean, that was really the moment when she hit rock bottom. That really was, because after this happens, she admits to Dr. J that she took the oxycodone from the clinic, but explains that she flushed them down the sink as soon as she got home, as though that in any way makes up for straight-up theft. And unfortunately, Dr. J fires her. He fires her. So I was very surprised that she got fired like that. I was not expecting that at all. And honestly, I really like that because it really shows, you know, that Daphne is now realizing what she did was completely wrong and she shouldn't have done that. So Regina, in the meantime, finds out that Daphne didn't tell her that Nacho vandalized her construction site. Now, of course, she's very surprised when she hears Nacho and that she's hanging out with Nacho, because Nacho was the one that threw a brick through her wall. Through her door. And somehow jumps right from that to guessing that Daphne helped vandalize it. And of course she's correct, but how did she get to that conclusion based solely on Daphne withholding some information? When Regina asks her to explain herself, Daphne ends up running off. You know, she just doesn't want to talk to her right now. And Regina decides Regina decides to actually tell Wes about Daphne's vandalism. But also, she says charges are not going to be pressed against her. But the thing is, don't tell him about what Daphne did. If you really wanted charges not to be pressed, then just don't tell him about anything. Because Wes is like, oh, no, there's no way that's not happening. Whatever happens, I'm pressing charges. I don't care. I'm pressing charges, and there's nothing we're going to do about it. I'm going to press charges. And you know what? I agree with Wes. I think the best thing to do is to press charges. I have no problem with that. Definitely. I think definitely they need to press charges, because what Daphne did was illegal. Daphne vandalized property. That's illegal what she did. So I agree with Wes that definitely they should press charges. There's nothing, there's nothing that says they can't do it, and they definitely need to press charges. So I definitely thought that was very big, and I really enjoyed that plot. I thought it was definitely very well done. Basically, then what ended up happening, though, was that, after this happens, Regina had finally, stopped, pandering to her feelings from demanding answers, and, what ended up happening, is that John and Catherine come home, and they're like, where's Daphne? We can't find her. Now, I thought they were going to show Daphne possibly trying to kill herself, because the episode was called The Girl on the Cliff. I thought that's what was going to happen. They can't find Daphne. They're wondering where she went. Regina thought she was at the clinic, but, she wasn't there. But Dr. J said she wasn't there. And, Daphne, they ended up finding her. She ended up going to Angelo's grave. And, Regina and Catherine both find her. They were very angry, but their main concern was Daphne's well-being, and they knew that she had to get over her guilt towards Angelo, so they were just there for her. And what really I liked about that, what I really liked about this scene was that, even though Daphne did all this, it really was because she was, grieving over Angelo. I understand, yes, no one grieves for this long, but if you think about it, Angelo was never there all the way for Daphne, and they were just starting to connect. They were. When Angelo died, Daphne and Angelo were just starting to connect, That's really why Daphne is so upset about this, is because they were just starting to connect, and unfortunately, because of what's happened, and because of all this happening, they didn't get a chance to connect anymore, and Daphne's pretty pissed about that. So that's the whole reason why Daphne was really acting out. I honestly felt really bad for Daphne in that scene. I'm just glad that this bad girl Daphne thing is over, because as much as I really liked it, I said, the writers are, her storyline was the most interesting. I'm glad that this week it did reach its conclusion. I'm happy about that, definitely. However, it's not all the way done, because of course, Wes still does want to press charges, so that whole thing is not done. There is still more to that, definitely. So yeah, we're gonna have to, there's more to that, definitely. But I really enjoyed the main plot, though. It was definitely well done. Let's get to the subplot. Basically, the subplot was senior prom. Of course, Daphne's not going because, she has too many problems. Emmett is very excited to take Bay to prom, and he's like really excited actually. Way too excited, you could say. And Bay's like, I don't want it, Bay's like, oh, who's gonna be the superficial prom king and queen? Of course, it's Bay and Emmett that are nominated for prom king and queen. And Bay is kind of horrified. She doesn't really want to be prom queen, which I can understand. Some girls, think that if you're, prom king or queen, that's kind of, it makes them look catty or whatever. But Bay, honestly, I can see why they're nominated prom king and queen. They're a really good couple, and I really like that, definitely. Definitely, I really enjoyed, that scene. I liked that Bay and Emmett were nominated prom king and queen. I think they're perfect for that, definitely. So, Natalie and Hillary end up telling Bay and her friends that they're very upset because they just got this email saying that there's a dress code for the prom. All girls must wear dresses and all boys have to wear tuxedos. But the problem is, of course, Natalie and Hillary are a lesbian couple, and because of that, Hillary never wears dresses to anything. So she really doesn't want to go to prom. So, because Bay really wants her friends to go to prom, what Bay ultimately decides to do is, Bay tells Regina about the prom's rule. Regina says that she should use her authority as prom queen to do something. That was good advice. I guess that was good advice. Bay really, that's not really a thing, but okay. But what ends up happening, basically, is that what Bay decides to do is she decides to switch things around a little bit. She decides to have the girls in tuxes, with everyone in tuxes, basically. Basically make, everyone in tuxes, so that way, Hillary and Natalie can go to the prom. And basically what ends up happening is that, the girls end up successfully crashing the prom. The teacher's obviously furious at them. He's like, no, this is not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be in dresses, guys are in tuxes, that's how it's always been. And basically, they end up having prom outside of the school, and, basically, I thought that was just a sweet scene, in my opinion. I really like that they end up having prom outside the school. I like seeing, Hillary and Natalie as well. Not really a couple we've seen a lot of, and I really like that, definitely. I was really happy about that, and, I definitely, like that. Oh, and we also found out the reason they're doing this is because the guys showed up in dresses last year because they were drunk, and he didn't want the same thing to happen this year. But that's Emmett still wants it to be a special night, so they had an outdoor prom, and I thought that was definitely very sweet. So that was the subplot, and the only other thing to talk about, which was a little silly, was Toby and Tank. I like their plot as it went, it was a bit, silly, really didn't need to be in there, but it was a little something, it was still a little something in there to, have a, nice plot. I enjoyed this plot overall. Basically, this was just a silly little interlude plot. Toby needs to gain more DJ experience, and Tank suggests he flyer the college campus for exposure. Toby ends up getting a gig at Omega Psi, which of course it takes Tank's old fraternity, and Tank is bothered by this, thinking Toby should have turned it down in principle. Turned it down because, of course, he doesn't think the guys are going to be good at that. And they do end up apologizing to each other, and they made up and everything, so I thought that was a sweet thing and everything. But honestly, I really didn't care that much about this plot. I didn't. I like Toby, I like Tank, but honestly, they've just become friends, and they're acting like they've been friends for a while. That's the only thing. This was okay, but I didn't care so much about that. I love the main plot, I love the subplot. Toby and Tank was just okay. That's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw of this episode. Next week, of course, is the summer finale of the show. And I'm going to be honest here, guys. I think next week, personally, should be the last episode of the entire show. I don't think the show could move on past graduation. This is not really a show I'd like to move past the graduation. There are some shows, yes, but Switched at Birth, I don't really see it moving on past graduation. Yes, there are things they could do with it, but I don't know if it's going to be as good as it is now. Now it's really, really good, and I feel it's not going to be as good if they continue it after graduation. I don't feel it's going to be as good if they do this. So, me personally, I think this is probably, I don't know, if something really big happens, yes, I will continue to watch the show, but if nothing big happens, unfortunately, guys, this might be my last episode of Switched at Birth. Just because I feel the show can't move past graduation, and me personally, I don't want to see it past graduation. I really don't. But overall, there are a lot of things to still talk about. is Daphne going to get arrested? Wes said he's definitely pressing charges, so definitely something bad's going to happen to Daphne there. We'll have to see what happens there, but I'm very interested in seeing what's going to happen to Daphne. Will Bay finally get into a college? I mean, again, her and Emmett decided they're going to the same college. I'm thinking last minute in this season finale, Bay is going to get an offer to go to a different college. You know, that's definitely going to be interesting to see if that ends up happening, because definitely, you know, that could definitely happen to someone. There's nothing that says there's a deadline as to when people who apply to colleges stop. When is Daphne going to get accepted into a college? I'm interested in that as well. We're going to have to see what happens there as well. You know, Daphne definitely, I just really hope her character, you know, I hope it all works out for her character, because it's a character I really did feel bad for, definitely, especially after this episode. I felt bad for her, and I really want things to definitely get better for her, and I hope things do end up getting better for her, definitely. Is there anything else really to resolve? I'm trying to think. I don't know. I really don't think there's anything else really to resolve here. That's pretty much it for my review. I'm looking forward to the finale. They should be doing a great job at Graduations. Worshiper usually does a great job with these sort of things. But that's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys in my next review, which will be my review for The Fosters. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.